Hello and welcome to the Pharmacy Informatics Professor 2020 with your host, Dr. Armin Simonian. Any gamers out there? Let me just say that gamers are welcome in the world of pharmacy informatics. When video games first came out, it was interesting. It was mostly for entertainment and as a pastime. Quickly, there were competitions set up and people realized that they could start making money by going into competitions and winning awards and winning cash prizes. So there was actually a future in being a video game champion. Now, in the world of pharmacy, a number of years ago, we started seeing gaming creeping into pharmacy education. So they call it gamification of pharmacy education, but there are a lot of programs, apps that have been written out there for gaming within pharmacy education. So it's used as an active learning method, a tool for teaching specific topics. I didn't want to make this a Journal Club episode, but I do want to bring up an article that you might be interested in reading. And this is a review article. It goes back to 2015. Now, a number of articles have been written since then on specific games used within pharmacy education. So you can go to the American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education, AJPE, and you can search for games or gamification of pharmacy education, and you can see a lot of these applications that are out there. So this one is a good review article, and it actually has a table that lists a lot of the courses that were offered at some different schools, and you can see the types of topics that were involved with this use of games within pharmacy education. Now, recently on the news, I noticed there was a little segment on the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and they're the ones that hire air traffic controllers at airports. Now, it was very interesting. They have a shortage of workers, and they're looking to hire quite a few people now for the job of air traffic controller. And they've been specifically targeting teenagers, 18 and above. And they're looking for people who are really good at video games. Interesting, because when you look at the screen for an air traffic controller, you can see a huge screen with a lot of dots on it, each one representing an airplane that's in the sky. And it's up to the air traffic controller to monitor all of the different flights. And specifically at the airport that they're working at, they need to make sure that planes are lining up properly, taking off in line and landing properly. And they're avoiding any possibility of any collision happening along the way. Because as we know, that's a never event. It should never happen. And it's a disaster if it does. So their job is to keep track of all the stuff that's going on. And it involves multitasking, and you have to be very good at looking at a screen and figuring out what's going on, and getting in touch with the airplanes to make sure that they're on track, and letting them know how to approach the airport and when to take off and all of that stuff. So I guess what I'm getting at is gaming became good training and a good skill to have to get into a profession. So it really legitimizes the whole area of video game playing, and makes it something that's very useful in the real world. Now, how does this relate to pharmacy informatics? Well, this is interesting. When I was first implementing our integrated electronic health record, where we had CPOE, So providers were entering orders, medication orders, into the EHR, and then it was up to the pharmacist to look at those orders and verify them, and then release them either for the automated dispensing cabinet or for manual dispensing out of the pharmacy. And it was interesting right away when we implemented the system. As I taught the system, I was talking about what I call red light, green light. And this is a little dashboard that came up when you logged in as a pharmacist to the pharmacy application within the EHR. You would see a little dashboard that showed how many orders were out there for verification for your nursing stations or your area of practice for that day. Now, if an order was placed and it was due more than 2 hours from now, it's all about the first dose. So let's say a digoxin order was placed early in the morning at 6 a.m. and the prescriber wrote digoxin 0.125 milligrams daily. Now, and at the nursing station, they have standard times of administration built into the system. And so daily comes up as 9 a.m. So that order was entered at 6 a.m., but the first dose for that patient is not due until 9 a.m., unless the doctor writes, give a dose now and then give daily, or give it stat and then give daily. That would be a different situation. But for the standard order that was written at 6 a.m., that first dig dose would be at 9 a.m. Now, for that order within the verification queue, it would have a green light. So it's ready to be verified. The dose is not due for a while, so the pharmacist has some time to verify that order and release it. Now, if an order is due sooner, the first dose, if it's due sooner, let's say within the next 2 hours, then that order would get a yellow light. So that alerts the pharmacist that there's an order out there that's due fairly soon, and it's time to verify that and release it. And then if an order were stat now or due within the next 30 minutes, that order would come up as a red light. So the red light orders are things that were, let's say, entered as a stat right up front, or going back to our example with the digoxin, if the doctor entered the order and it was 8:30 in the morning, and we know that daily is at 9 a.m., the first dose is due within 30 minutes, then that would automatically come up as a red light within the system. So getting back to the topic of gaming, it was interesting that a number of pharmacists really jumped on this whole dashboard concept. And as they logged into the system, it was almost a game to see if they could verify those orders and how quickly they could verify those orders and move on to the next task. So I don't want to imply that healthcare is a game in any way, but it was interesting on the approach to that verification queue. So, and that was the right way to do it. Attack it, look at the red orders first, get those out of the way, get those verified so that the nurse would have access to the medication and could administer those first doses to the patient. Then move on to the yellows and the greens. And we did have one more category, and that was the black light. And black meant that the order was a PRN. There was no way for the computer to know when a dose might be due. And so it just put it in as a black light. So an order that needed to be verified but had no specific due date for the first dose was black. So for our pharmacists, a number of them who were comfortable with gaming basically and approach the computer with that mentality, they were able to attack those queues, get those orders verified, and the orders were ready, and the nurse had access to those medications on time for administration to the patient. So interesting how gaming kind of, in my mind, creeped into the realm of pharmacy informatics. and daily practice. And this is why I say that gamers are welcome to the real world of pharmacy informatics, because I think bringing that mentality, those skills to pharmacy applications, information technology and automation applied to the medication use process, if we can incorporate those skills and gaming concepts and make it more fluid, more interesting, and a better way for getting the full attention of the pharmacist in terms of taking care of the patient, verifying orders, I think that's a good thing. We can apply those same principles and skills to our robots and other applications that we have. So gamers, welcome to pharmacy informatics. It would be great if you get involved in whatever skills you have and creativity, thoughts about gaming. If we can apply those to our applications within pharmacy informatics, I think that will push us forward and improve our systems. And overall, that's better for our patients, patient care. So if this is an interesting discussion, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll thank you for that. There's a lot of good articles out there that you can read about gaming in terms of pharmacy education, and then maybe you can give some thought to applying those skills to information technology and automation applied to the medication use process. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, look after the health of others. I'll continue to work on more episodes, and I'll see you next time. Take care.